Hi everybody, it's EK from EK Gorm Designs, and I am coming in today with the Designer Challenge from Elizabeth Craft Designs. This is their March Designer Challenge, and the theme this month is to frame it. So I took the frame out of the Garden Scene die set and the Stitch Squares die set and prepped a piece of Whisper Soft Finish, Whisper Blue paper with double-sided adhesive tape. So that way everything under it would be sticky. And I die cut everything by the magic of television with a frame. So I had this really cool frame, and I pulled out some cool diamond microfine glitter and made the Whisper paper sparkly with glitter. I traditionally hate glitter. Anybody who knows me knows I hate glitter because it goes everywhere. With this double-sided stick adhesive, it's not too bad because it really does stick to the adhesive. And this microfine glitter isn't, I don't know, it doesn't seem to float everywhere in its existence. Yes, there's a little bit here and there, but it doesn't seem to like implode all over my world. I will find, since figuring out using a Swiffer sleeper made glitter use a whole lot more fun, but this, I also love that to make this glitter really pretty, you just need to rub it in with your finger over the double-sided adhesive. For the rest of the card and the focal image of the card, I pulled out the vintage balloon set. It was released at the beginning of the year. And I pulled out my Copic markers to hand color in the vintage balloons. For all of the baskets, which are their own independent die piece, I used a combination of brown Copic markers to create kind of a basket weave within the die cut. So that way when I adhered everything back together, it looked like a little basket. And I just did it with a couple of the E33, 35, and 37 Copic marker because it makes such a pretty brown combination. You know, not all Copics were meant to be used together, but those three really were. Those three were really meant to be used in succession. I blended it out, and like I said, at the end of it, I thought it actually kind of felt like those wicker baskets. The cool thing about this die set is each balloon is two pieces. So there's the part of the balloon that's cut out, and then there's a bulb of balloon that can go under the cutouts. So you can have these two-toned balloons. Depending on how you color it, you can have a color come up through underneath. So I decided for all the balloons die cuts that were underneath the cutout pieces, I would go for a darker shade, and for the colors that were on top, I would go for a lighter one. And I don't know what went wrong here, but I got really heavy-handed with my darkest red and came out really streaky. I don't know if that red needs to be refilled so it's a little juicier, but it was so streaky. See, you can even see it, like I'm not even coming close to blending those in. I find red kind of to be the hardest color to blend in. So I went back over it, you can see here, and lost a lot of the streakiness. Still had bits there on the bottom, but also recognized early on that the balloon that was going to be laid on top of it, adhered on top of it, that streaky section wasn't going to show. See, there, it wasn't going to show. So I pulled out a lighter collection of reds and colored them in. Just colored them in the lighter section. It's a little bit harder to color copically with all these die cuts out because the paper wants to move. But it worked. I'm using Elizabeth Craft Designs soft finish paper here. And I know a lot of people, when they use their Copic markers, use the smooth side of the paper. I actually kind of have been loving coloring on the textured side of the paper with my Copic markers. It's a little bit harder to blend on the textured side, but you end up with these really organic movement within your coloring when you color on the textured side. So like I said, I've been experimenting with it. Excuse me. I've been experimenting with it lately. This is the glue of choice for that's on the Elizabeth Craft Designs website. And I love it because it gives you a little bit of time to wiggle the glue, but it also catches fast. So there's not this like long drying period. So it's not an immediate glue, and it's not, yeah, it's like it's the Goldilocks effects. It doesn't dry too fast or dry too long. It dries just right. And the tool I'm using, you'll laugh, I have a bunch of clay tools that I don't use anymore, and they somehow ended up on my desk, and now I'm using them with glue, and then, because they clean off really well, because they were always intended to have clay on them, so they clean off really, really well. And I use them with glue all the time, and they work great. And I clean them, and they go back into a little cup holder, and if I'm not careful, they stab me when I'm not paying attention, because I'll reach into them, and the pokey, the pokey tools will stab me. So you'll notice I got my finger into the red Copic on my paper and left a little fingerprint at the top, but then I realized that the fingerprint that I left at the top wasn't going to show, so it was okay. Again, with the blue balloon, I used the darker colors on the bottom balloon and the lighter ones on the top. I have my sun coming in from the, if you're looking at the card, the top right of the card. So I'm trying to drop my shadows more on the bottom left and on the curve of the balloon. The color combinations I picked today were really just kind of some of my go-to favorites. Nothing fancy, nothing exotic, just color combinations I know to work well for me. You can try my color combinations. You find they don't work well for you, experiment, because I may be more heavy-handed or light-handed than you are with your markers. So definitely go around experimenting with your markers. I didn't make you watch me glue another one, just because I thought we'd all enjoy it a whole lot better. The smallest balloon actually doesn't have a cutout in the balloon, and I kind of contemplated like cutting out a heart or something, and I didn't. What I ended up doing was offsetting the top balloon and the bottom balloon just a little bit, so some of that orange peeked through. It seemed like the simplest way to create the smallest balloon. By the way, I did not realize I colored the three balloons in primary colors until after the fact. Now, I wanted to create a really great background for the balloons to be coming out of, so I pulled out some Elizabeth Craft design stencils. This one I think is intended for it to be snow mounds. Like, this isn't grass, these are mounds of snow. But I think they make quite a lovely hillside if you color them correctly. And really, I've done nothing fancy here except for like run some distressed ink through the stencil and then add a darker shadow color. And in this case, I went back over with the darker shadow color through some of the lines, just creating a little bit more variety in the lines. And I love this next stencil coming up. It is their Earth and Sky. These are some of the coolest clouds I've come across. And I have stencils. I have so many stencils. I have stencils galore. This is not my only cloud stencil. But something about how this stencil is cut makes such a gorgeous sky. And the funniest part is you don't even really see the clouds in the finished product because the balloons are kind of over all the clouds. But the effect that was given was really just, it was perfect. I adore this stencil. I just think it makes the prettiest clouds. So there's the very simple backdrop I made. I pulled out some Dove Gray cardstock to be my frame of my card, and using some double-sided adhesive, added the frame to the card. And this is that glittery frame that I prepped from the very, very beginning, that Whisper Blue glittery card frame. I don't know why I left me peeling all the tape in. I apologize. I must have been tired when I edited this and thought people might enjoy seeing how I peel tape. No. No one enjoys seeing how I peel tape. So, yeah, now you get to listen to me make fun of myself talking about how I peel tape. Sorry, it's one of those days. So there's the base of the card. And then it became, where do I put the balloons? And it was only about here when I put all the balloons onto the card that I realized I'd made a primary color collection of balloons. I may have broken some of the designer challenge frame it rules by having my balloons go out of the frame, but I loved it. I loved how this card came out. There was something so, I don't know, fun, for lack of a better word, about this. How they were layered and they were drifting over the hills, and it just, maybe I'm really excited about spring, but these hot air balloons to me say spring is coming and warm weather and green grass and beautiful skies and no snow. I wanted to add a sentiment, and finding kind of the perfect sentiment for this stamp set was hard until I came across this one and realized this was exactly what it should say. I used a little bit of Archival ink and stamped it out. To fly, let go of anything holding you down. And since what holds hot air balloons to the earth is a sandbag, it seemed like absolutely the perfect sentiment for this card. Let go of anything holding you down. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made this card for Elizabeth Craft Designs March Designer Challenge. This was our Frame It Challenge. Make sure you head over to the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog. All the designers have come up with really cool designs. And thanks for checking in today. You want to see more of what I do? Click the dragon to subscribe to my channel. Want to see more cards specifically like this one? Give me a thumbs up and I will do more cards like this. Thanks for watching today. Until I see you next time, happy crafting. Bye.